Have you ever wondered if fairies might be more than just figments of our imagination? These enchanting creatures are steeped in mystery, weaving a captivating allure that transcends cultures worldwide. Often depicted as magical and elusive, fairies have been a cornerstone of folklore, enchanting us with tales of their magnificent powers and elusive nature. From the verdant fields of Ireland to the misty mountains of Japan, the belief in fairies is as widespread as it is diverse. Join us as we delve into the captivating world of fairy folklore. Our journey begins in the ancient world, where the concept of fairies first took root. In the verdant landscapes of Celtic lands, the earliest notions of these mystical beings emerged, woven into the very fabric of daily life and culture. These were not the tiny winged creatures of modern depictions, but entities both wondrous and fearsome, residing in a realm parallel to our own. The Celts, known for their rich oral tradition, passed down tales of the Siddi, or fairy folk, from generation to generation. These beings were integral to Celtic mythology, embodying the mysteries of nature and the unseen. It was believed that the Siddi lived in ancient mounds and hills, portals to their otherworldly realm. They were as diverse as the world they inhabited, ranging from the benevolent to the mischievous, and even the malevolent. Fairies played a significant role in the Celtic way of life. They were believed to influence everything from the weather to the harvest, from health to fortune. A good relationship with the fairy folk was considered essential for prosperity and well-being. Rituals and practices were woven into daily life to appease these powerful beings, from leaving offerings of food and drink to respecting fairy mounds and sacred trees. This reverence for the fairy folk was not confined to the Celts alone. The idea of these mystical beings spread across cultures and continents, adapting to local beliefs and traditions. From the sprites of Roman mythology to the jinn of Middle Eastern folklore, similarities can be drawn to the Celtic Sea, suggesting a universal human fascination with the unseen and the magical. Yet, it is important to remember that these ancient beginnings were far from the charming, sanitized versions of fairies we often encounter today. They were complex, multifaceted beings, capable of both benevolence and wrath, deeply entwined with the natural world and the mysteries it held. From these ancient origins, the fairy folklore would grow and evolve, weaving its way into the fabric of societies around the world. As we move into the medieval period, the fairy folklore takes on a darker tone. The Middle Ages, a time steeped in mysticism and superstition, saw a significant shift in the depiction of these ethereal beings. No longer were they simply the merry sprites dancing in moonlit glades. They evolved into beings of mischief and, at times, outright malevolence. During this period, fairies were often portrayed as tricksters, their antics ranging from minor inconveniences to grave harm. It was not uncommon for them to lead travelers astray with their enchanting lights, causing them to lose their way in the wilderness. They were also known to curdle milk, not hair, and cause other domestic nuisances. But the mischief of the medieval fairies extended beyond mere pranks. They were often seen as malevolent forces to be feared. Tales abound of them luring people into their fairy circles to dance until they drop from exhaustion or even die. They were blamed for sudden illnesses, failed crops, and unexplained accidents. One particularly chilling belief that flourished during this era was the concept of fairy abductions. It was thought that fairies would snatch away healthy human babies, replacing them with their own sickly offspring, known as changelings. This belief was so pervasive that numerous rituals and protective measures were developed to safeguard against it. But why this shift in portrayal? Some suggest it was a reflection of the harsh realities of life in the Middle Ages. Others propose that it was a way for people to make sense of the inexplicable, to find a scapegoat for misfortunes and tragedies. Regardless of the reasons, these darker tales of fairy folklore served a purpose. They were warnings, reminders of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, of the need for caution and vigilance. These tales, filled with caution and fear, further cemented the fairy folklore into the collective consciousness. With the onset of the Enlightenment era and the Victorian Age, fairies took on a more romanticized and benign image. During these periods, the perception of fairies underwent a significant transformation, influenced heavily by literature, art, and the burgeoning realm of science. The Enlightenment era, with its emphasis on reason and scientific discovery, might seem an unlikely stage for the fairies' metamorphosis. However, the period's fascination with the natural world led to a renewed interest in these magical beings. Fairies were often portrayed as elemental spirits, embodying the mysteries of nature that science sought to unravel. Meanwhile, the Victorian age was a time of paradox. On one hand, it was an era of strict moral codes and rigid social norms. On the other, it was a period of fascination with the supernatural and the unexplainable. This duality was reflected in the portrayal of fairies. Literature and art of the time often depicted fairies as enchanting and mischievous, yet bound by their own set of rules and customs. One of the most famous works to capture the spirit of these times was Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. The play presents fairies as whimsical and capricious, yet strangely human in their follies and desires. This portrayal resonated with audiences, further cementing the romanticized image of fairies. Then came the infamous Cottingley fairies photographs at the tail end of the Victorian era. These images, claimed to be genuine by two young girls, sparked a nationwide debate. Many were convinced of their authenticity, including the celebrated author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The photographs represented a fascinating blend of the era's scientific advancements and its lingering belief in the supernatural. Despite the skepticism of the modern age, the allure of the fairies remained, proving their enduring appeal. As we moved into the 20th century, fairies continued to captivate our imagination, their stories evolving with each new generation, but always retaining a touch of the enchantment that first made them a beloved part of our cultural tapestry. In our contemporary world, fairies continue to captivate us, their essence captured in various forms of media and pop culture. As we venture into the realm of modern interpretations, we find an array of fairies that have transformed from the ancient sprites of yore into characters that resonate with today's audience. Children's literature has played a significant role in this transformation. Fairies have become protagonists of their own stories, embodying courage, kindness, and a dash of mischief. They inspire young minds to dream, to believe in magic, and to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. A sprinkling of fairy dust can turn a mundane afternoon into an adventure. The silver screen further brings these magical beings to life. In movies, fairies flit between the fantastical and the real, their stories intertwining with ours. They are seen as guardians of nature, as mischievous tricksters, or even as figures of ethereal beauty and grace. Their portrayal is as diverse as their roles, reflecting the multifaceted nature of these mystical beings. The world of video games too has embraced the enchanting allure of fairies. They serve as guides in mystical quests, as magical companions, or as formidable adversaries. Their powers are as varied as their appearances, from healing to enchantment, from illusion to transformation, adding layers of depth to gameplay and narrative. This diversity in portrayal showcases the adaptability of fairies. They have evolved from the capricious spirits of folklore into beings that embody a range of qualities, from the whimsical to the profound. Their enduring charm lies in their ability to change and adapt, to fit into any story, any world, any imagination. In this digital age, fairies have found a new platform to spread their magic: social media. Fairy-themed art, stories, and even virtual fairy communities have sprung up, allowing for a global exchange of fairy lore and creativity. From ancient folklore to modern storytelling, fairies continue to enchant us, their magical allure standing the test of time. Our journey through the world of fairy folklore reveals a fascinating evolution. We began our exploration with the ancient beginnings, where fairies were believed to be supernatural beings, a powerful and sometimes feared presence in the everyday lives of our ancestors. They were the embodiment of nature's whims, capable of both benevolence and mischief, and were treated with a combination of reverence and caution. Then, we trace their journey into the medieval era, where fairies evolved into complex characters in tales of chivalry and romance. They became agents of moral lessons, their actions serving as allegories for human behavior. As we moved into the Enlightenment and Victorian ages, fairies transformed yet again. Amidst the rise of scientific thought and industrial progress, they became symbols of nostalgia, embodying a longing for a simpler, more magical time. In the Victorian era, fairies took on a more whimsical, child-friendly image, popular in storybooks and illustrations. Our journey culminated in the modern interpretations, where fairies have become versatile figures in pop culture, ranging from the playful Tinkerbell to the formidable creatures of urban fantasy novels. They represent our ongoing desire to believe in the extraordinary, in a world beyond our ordinary reality. Whether real or imagined, fairies continue to hold a special place in our hearts and minds, a testament to our enduring fascination with the magical and the mysterious.